It's wonderful that you're here. Wonderful because the 5 very simple tips I'm going to share with you are rather mighty. You can implement them effortlessly into your daily life and you will see the difference. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, regulate, and control your emotions. Also, you are able to understand the emotions and motives of others. While you cannot control their emotions, you can certainly influence them. Studies have shown that people with a high EQ have better interpersonal, problem-solving, conflict resolution, and communication skills. And all of this translates to better performance in your professional and personal life. EI is a bit like the emotional version of IQ, and it can be learned. So here are the 5 key areas you can improve to boost your EI and a tip for each. Self-awareness is one of the cornerstones of emotional intelligence. It is defined as conscious knowledge of your own character, feelings, motives, and desires. Self-aware people make better leaders and decision makers because they understand their own feelings and have a clear perception of them. Developing self-awareness is the first step in realizing and achieving what you want. You can develop your self-awareness by training yourself to be mindful. When you learn how to play the guitar, for instance, you are mindful of how you hold the instrument, how you place your fingers, the feeling of the strings when they're played, and the sound it produces. We nearly always drive mindfully. We notice how the car is running, pay attention to the instrument panel, the sounds, and carefully watch what's going on around the car. Being mindful means doing exactly the same thing you do when you learn guitar or drive, but to do this with your own thoughts and feelings. A good way to learn mindfulness is to practice mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is a type of meditation where you sit in one place and, rather than meditating on a theme or object, you simply let your mind be still and observe what it does. Sit in a comfortable place and quiet your mind. Don't think about anything. Instead, focus on the physical sensation and sounds around you. You'll find that it's nearly impossible to keep your mind clear. Thoughts will arise of their own accord. When a thought arises, acknowledge it and let it pass. Don't become attached to it and don't let it grab a hold of you. Let each thought or feeling arise and pass. This is a type of training that teaches you how to observe thoughts and emotions. These thoughts and emotions don't steer you and you don't judge them. The point of this exercise is that as you get better at meditating, you'll find yourself doing the same thing, observing and acknowledging thoughts without becoming attached to them when you're not meditating as well. As a result, you'll become better able to understand and assess your emotions without them grabbing hold of you. You find more information on how to learn mindfulness meditation on my website, and if you learn about yourself that you just hate to meditate, don't fret. There is an alternative, brainwave entrainment, and you'll find a lot of that on my website as well. Tip number 2, active listening. Active listening is a communication technique that is used in training, conflict resolution, consulting, and other situations where emotional intelligence is key. It involves the listener repeating to the speaker what was said in order to confirm that they understood the meaning clearly. Repeating what was said also shows the speaker that you are listening. The idea is simple enough. You listen and then you repeat and confirm what the speaker said. But how can you be sure that you're getting it right? If your confirmation isn't what the speaker actually said, your attempt at active listening could spiral into a frustrating misunderstanding. Also, you don't want to be telling the speaker what they're thinking or feeling. It takes practice, but the first step is to eliminate distractions and focus solely on the person speaking. You need to make a conscious effort to focus on the speaker only. If you're in an environment where there are distractions, such as background noise, tune them out. One way to do this is to maintain eye contact with the person with whom you're speaking. Don't let your eyes wander too much. In addition to environmental distractions, you should get rid of the distractions inside of your head. That's probably the hardest part. Don't judge what the other person is saying, or let your mind race to think of a response. When someone is speaking, focus only on their words and feel their full impact. Afterwards, you'll have time to think of a response. In fact, if you improve your self-awareness as described above, you can also use mindfulness to be more mindful of what another person says. Self-regulation is important to emotional intelligence because EI is about two things: recognizing and understanding emotions and controlling those emotions in an appropriate way. EI training allows you to control and use your emotions in the best way possible. A good simple tip you can use to regulate your emotions is to stop and refocus. It's easy for emotions to take control of us and make us do and say things we later regret. However, if you can distract yourself for just one moment and take yourself out of the current situation, this can be just enough to allow those emotions to cool off and lose their sting. Then you can handle the situation in a way that's calm and clear-headed. Actually, all of the "oh, why did I say this" reactions or "why is this and that always happening to me" are when we are reacting to past events that have nothing to do with the present situation. That's a topic that touches neuroscience and couldn't be discussed in a minute or solved with a quick tip. I share a lot more about this in my workshop. If you clicked on the confirmation email, I will send you an invite. And there is a quick tip that I can share right now. The first step is to identify when emotions are carrying you away. There is usually a physical reaction. Your heartbeat and breathing may increase, you may sweat, you may even experience tenseness in certain parts of your body. This is your body's natural response to stress, and there's nothing wrong with it. For you, it's a warning that you need to take a second to refocus. At this point, there are several techniques that you can use. You can take control of your breathing by breathing deeply and slow. You can learn to relax your muscles. A visualization exercise where you picture something calm and relaxing can help. There's even the traditional idea of counting down from 10 when you feel angry and stressed. Doesn't work for me, but try it. You can choose whichever of these you like. Choose something that's effective for you. Learn to recognize when you get emotional and make rash decisions. And each time it happens, take a moment to take a quick break and refocus on the problem at hand. Tip number 4, empathy. One word up front. Empathy and compassion are not the same. Understanding someone doesn't mean you feel for him or with him. Empathy helps you in your professional and personal life in many ways. It helps you better understand those around you and their perception of you. As a result, improving your empathy helps you better understand those parts of communication that are unspoken. And that's often the most important information. You know what's really going on behind the words, and this helps in problem solving, motivating teams, conflict resolution, sales, and more. There are many ways to improve your empathic skills, but the starting point is to improve your observational skills. Learn to be a skilled people watcher. First, as mentioned above with active listening, eliminate distractions so that you can give your full attention to others and what they're saying and doing. Non-verbal clues. Notice when there are visual changes in someone. For example, a person may change their posture, their breathing, their movements, or their facial expression. They may sweat or blush. Try to notice subtle changes like the narrowing of eyes or the downturn of the edges of a person's lips. What I'm going to say next sounds a little bit funny, but it's actually true. I once had a manager, and when he was giving presentations, you could see... I shouldn't say it. Well, now I started. No, there's no turning back. You could see that the muscles in his butt became tense when he was annoyed at someone. So it can be really subtle, but if you watch closely, everyone shows their real emotions. Somehow. Changes in tone. Not only the words we say, but also the way we talk can reveal much about what's behind the words. Pay attention to changes in pitch, volume, tempo, and tone of voice. The words. Pay attention to the way people use the words they use to express themselves. There are many ways to phrase any particular sentence. The specific words used can tell you that there is anger, resentment, enthusiasm, or another emotion behind the words. Absence of emotion is very telling. Sometimes a person tells you a great deal not by emotional clues, but by their absence of emotions. Absence of emotion may express any number of things, such as anger, disappointment, distraction, or resentment. Pay attention especially when a person's usually effusive communication suddenly falls flat. Once you develop your observation skills, you'll gain a better understanding of other people. You can then effectively understand their emotions and motives and figure out how to communicate with them in the most appropriate way. Emotionally intelligent people have a positive outlook or confident expectations. They aren't foolishly positive, expecting everything to be all good all the time and ignoring things that are difficult or negative. Rather, they see the silver lining and face challenges with a firm resolve, knowing that they may or not succeed, but in either case they'll learn something. This is the kind of positive outlook that can handle any problem. A good way to make yourself authentically more positive is to identify negative self-talk and turn it positive. Negative self-talk refers to the voice in your head that turns a situation bad. This includes things like, "Oh, this is going to be difficult. I did such a stupid thing today. This situation always ends up like, I'm sure my boss is going to give me trouble today. There is no way this will work." Negative self-talk is a self-defense mechanism. Based on past experience, your mind sets you up for the worst, preparing you to accept it so that it's not a shock. The problem with that is that things may not turn out badly as you expect them to. And negative self-talk is not just stressful, but you will likely create self-fulfilling prophecies. You might not even notice that your behavior is going to change, and you might create just the negative situation you're afraid of. When do you say things like the above to yourself? Learn to recognize that voice and counter it by either shutting it up or replacing it with something positive. For example, "This won't work." A positive alternative would be, "We've never tried this before, but whether it works or not, we'll learn from it." If you're going into a meeting with an associate who's extremely difficult to talk to, don't dwell on past experience. Instead, tell yourself that you're going to do everything you can to make this meeting go well. This can be quite a challenge, but learning how to turn negative self-talk around can have major benefits. The best way to approach a difficult situation is to be as prepared as possible and to have a positive attitude. These are just a few things you can do to increase your emotional intelligence. Give them a try and they'll definitely make a difference in how you react and respond to emotions. If you would like to learn more about increasing your EQ and becoming emotional intelligent, be sure to check out my complete course, Project Eagle.